Hi, and welcome to Swan Effect Mum's Coffee and Chat podcast. This week we are chatting with Jodie, and Jodie is going to be talking about being a mum living with anxiety and panic attacks. You're right, Jodie?
Yeah, I just got a little bit anxious, but I'm okay.
Fine. It's fine. We're just chatting. It is literally, I just said to you, you know, this is just like a chinwag. Yeah.
I feel better now that I can see. Yeah.
Yeah, this is why I prefer we can see each other. This isn't going to be a video on my YouTube channel, but this will be on the podcast. But it is easy when you can see someone, because facial expression helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So I'll start the first question. I always ask this one, just to give people an idea of who you are and your lifestyle and how many children you've got and things like that. So where do you live and who do you live with, Jodie?
I live in Cheshire with my husband and my two boys, Connor and Nathan.
And tell me a little bit about them. How old are they?
Connor's 6 and Nathan's 4. And they're like chalk and cheese. They're like so different in so many ways, like personality wise, but they get on like really well.
So many people say that, don't they? Like you never get two the same.
No. Personality wise, like they like the same things, like they're interested in the same things, but like Nathan's like really like confident and like, you know, out there, whereas Connor's much more like reserved and like less physical, more like, you know, like reading and stuff.
And which one's which? So who's the confident one, the eldest one or the youngest one?
The youngest one.
Oh really? Because normally it's like the eldest is the confidence. Yeah, because they've had more years of attention, you know, things like that.
I don't know, like I think maybe like some like factors, maybe he sees Connor and copies Connor.
Yeah, there is that thing.
And
So this one is about mental health. So you mentioned to me that you suffered from postnatal depression. So was this with the first, the second, or with both pregnancies?
Mainly the first. I already had like anxiety from like childhood, but I came off my medication whilst I was pregnant because my doctor at the time said that was the right thing to do. And after he was born, it was like the worst I've ever had it.
Why? Sorry, because another lady, Emma, wrote a guest blog on my blog page about postnatal depression. I did a question and answers, and she said the same thing. She came off her depression tablets because the doctor told her to when she was pregnant. Is there a reason for that? Is it dangerous for the baby or something? Or
well, that's what my doctor at the time said, but then a doctor came to see me whilst I was in hospital after I'd had Connor and said, no, you would have been fine to keep taking them. My doctor, like, after that said, oh no, it would have been fine. So
that's a bit annoying, isn't it, really, when they say after the
little bit, yeah.
God, so how long after having your baby did you start showing signs of postnatal depression? And did you know it was postnatal depression, or did you think it was your anxiety from before?
I think I kind of like knew it was a little bit of both. I think because my mum had postnatal depression, she'd like sort of pre-warned me and stuff, and obviously with the existing anxiety, I thought that I might be like high risk for it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I prepared myself for like how bad it was going to be.
Well, what were your, if you don't mind saying, because it might help people listening, what were your symptoms then?
Right. So when Connor was born, he was born with jaundice, which, you know, is really common.
Yeah, we're on that as well.
Yeah, like it is really common and stuff, but I was just absolutely like terrified. He was on this like light machine.
Yeah, like the incubator.
Yeah, with the mask.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, be careful that he doesn't like take his mask off or anything, like keep the mask over his eyes. And I would just stare at him.
Yeah.
Like and I couldn't sleep, and I'd be watching him, and every time he like fussed with it, I was like, oh, and I just didn't like it. And every time he was like crying, I was terrified that there was something more wrong than just the usual.
So that's what I mean. So, you know, as a new mum, we're always, like you said, observing, worried, you know, things like that. And but probably too quick to jump up and go, oh, what was that? What was that? You know, nervous. But you've said terrified. So is that how it felt to you? You were terrified of him taking his mask off and like it was that strong a feeling.
Yeah. And then it got to a point after, like, I was in the hospital for like 5 days. And after probably like the first night, I was scared to be alone with him.
Oh, right.
Because it's hard to explain. It's almost like I didn't trust myself to be a good enough mum to look after him by myself.
A lot of people say that, yeah.
And because he had the jaundice and stuff, I was just terrified. And I remember one night, obviously Howard was going to go home, and he got like halfway home and I had this massive panic attack, and just absolutely a mess. And the midwife was like, what's wrong? I was like, I need Howard with me. I don't want to be on my own with the baby. So they let him stay.
Wow.
Overnight. But yeah.
Can you imagine now with this COVID? Because you can't see anybody, you can't have any visitors or anything. Imagine someone going through what you're going through now. I mean, I've been through it, but I didn't have that strong of feelings. I was low. I was really low. And I was in for 8 days, and I didn't see anybody for 8 days except for when I had Ronnie, and I think Phil was there for an hour, and then he went. And like you said, I was she was taken into special care baby. Then she came back, and actually, she's jaundiced. And then she was in an incubator. And I just remember at that point, kind of laughing, but like like when someone goes like hysterical laughing, because I thought, of course, this is going to happen as well. You know, this always happens when I have children. And they put her in this incubator. And I was in my own little room, and it was so bright. And I FaceTimed Phil, crying my eyes out, going, look at her. And luckily, he just made a joke and said, well, how old is she? A few days old, and she's already on her first sunbed. And then I just thought, and I was I needed that. I needed someone to make a bit of a joke about it, because in my head, I was just getting so worked up. It is scary. So you came out of hospital. And I know that when the midwives come to see you and the baby's, you know, on the first day at home, they get you to fill out that questionnaire. Did you have to fill out one of them?
Yeah. I think I did it in the hospital, if I remember rightly.
All right.
I was in for 5 days, and I know the midwife was starting to get a bit worried about me. And then she brought this like questionnaire thing, and then that's when like the doctor came to see me and stuff. And
were you diagnosed straight away, or did they just say, look, you need to keep an eye on this and speak to your midwife? Or
they did the prescription for citalopram.
Oh, straight away.
Yeah.
That's good, isn't it? I mean, it's good that they've, you know, you got it so, you know, found it so quickly and got it seen to. So quickly, because I hear so many women, like I said about that questionnaire, so many I've said that they lied a bit on the questionnaire, because you just said you felt like you can't be trusted because you don't think you're a good enough mum and things. And the last thing you do is admit that on a piece of paper, because your thoughts are thinking, oh, you know, what they're going to think of me, when really they think anything of you. That's the whole point of the questionnaire. It's funny feeling you're all over the place when you've had a baby anyway, aren't you, emotionally, and you're just scared. So I'm glad that got sorted really quickly. So who did you speak to first about that? So you came out of hospital knowing. Who did you speak to first about it? Your husband or a friend or a relative? Who did you feel comfortable to go and speak to first about it?
Well, husband obviously knew, because
he's been called back halfway home, hasn't he?
He was then excited to go home and have his chippy tea, and I'm like, I need you.
Thanks, Jodie, I'll come back now.
So he knew, but I spoke to my mum about it. And I actually spoke to my husband's mum about it as well. She came to visit.
And that's really nice that you've got that relationship with her to do that.
Well, it's weird, usually she's not very one to talk about that kind of stuff that much, but I think she just saw that I was just so and I just remember her talking to me about it, and then I just like was crying on her, just like she gave me a big cuddle, and I was like a little kid, just like crying on her.
Yeah. I think that's it. It's like, did this exist 60, 70 years ago? Do you know what I mean? Like, or did mothers just really suffer in silence? Because, like I said, I don't know many of my mum's age, 60 plus, that had it.
Yeah.
But the mum said, maybe, this is the 70s and 80s. Everyone was poor, everyone was miserable. There was loads of, unemployment and things. Whether people just, what's the word I'm looking for? Plodded on, for a better word. Yeah, just didn't say anything and just suffered in silence. You just don't know, do you?
Yeah, probably.
Most likely.
Yeah.
It's awful, isn't it? So you're really honest on your Instagram account about your struggles with anxiety. So has this always been in your life, and has it appeared since your postnatal depression?
I'd say like from childhood, especially like high school, definitely. I think high school was like, I had a really bad like self-esteem, and like kids make comments and stuff.
Yeah, high school's not the nicest place in the world, is it?
No, and that just like brought it on more. And then for a little bit, my mum had a partner who he was just like really like overly critical, and he'd do the whole banter thing, or say it was banter, and he'd say it was like to toughen me up and stuff, because I was oversensitive. And honestly, it just made me like so overly self-aware, and like just couldn't, I was just too in my head all the time.
I think this whole banter thing, I hate it, because have banter by all means, and I'll have a laugh with the best of people, even my closest friends. I always say the worst I treat you, it means I love you the most. It's when I'm nice to you, that's when you want to be worried. But sometimes your comments just not welcome, you don't.
It can be too personal, can't it?
Yeah. And also looking back, now I'm older, I actually feel a little bit sorry for those people. So that stepdad of yours, I know now, he was insecure with himself, and that's why he did that to you. But the problem is, he's then passed his insecurities onto you, and that's just, you've just taken it on and put it on your shoulders, and it's kept there then, because no one tells you to take off, and you're not that person to then pass that on to someone else, so you're the one left with it. I always think that's how I square it in my head and make me feel better, is I feel sorry for you because you're insecure with yourself and you feel like you have to pass it to me.
Yeah.
That's hard at a young age, really hard.
Yeah. I had counselling, and when we were talking about like the main things that triggered it, it was sort of like bullying, and obviously he wasn't a stepdad, but partner of my mum at the time. Yeah.
Do you know what someone said to me? If you call someone something enough, if you call someone beautiful enough every single day for 20 years solid, they will think they're beautiful. And that's just as harmful sometimes as calling someone useless every single day for 20 years, because some people need criticism in their life and some people need praise. It needs an easy balance, doesn't it? If you just get one of one, lots of one, you don't know how to deal with the other, do you? So when you got counselling, was that years and years down the line?
Yeah, that was, I want to say, maybe a couple of years ago.
Wow. Okay, so that's a long time then that you've dealt with it. So did you feel like it helped, that counselling? Because that's what the next question I was going to ask you about. But do you feel like it helped you?
Definitely.
Oh, that's good.
Because, it's like loads of little light bulbs going off. Like, oh, that's why, and and she taught me like mindfulness and stuff, and I would always try and like push the feelings away, and I do still do it sometimes, but she taught me like that's what makes the panic attacks come, and that's what makes it worse, and it all pile on me. Like I need to just be like, okay, this is how I feel right now, and then just let it float by. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, flow with it. Go with the flow of it. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
The next question I was going to ask, just in case anyone thinks I'm being mean and asking her lots of questions, I have also struggled with anxiety, but mine was later on in life, throughout my late 20s and early 30s. I don't really remember when it all happened, really. When I say I was confident, I was super, super confident. Never had any problems in school. I wasn't mean, but I was popular. I wasn't pretty. I wasn't one of the pretty girls, but I was one of the lads' friends, you know, so I was fine with that. You know, there's lots of things like that. Never had any problems. But for some reason, I don't know whether it was because I was reaching my 30s, but one day I started feeling really funny. And the way I can explain my anxiety attacks, and I don't know if I've never really looked into it, but it can feel like all the blood's rushing around my body like 100 miles an hour. And I went to the nurse in the college and I said, I don't know what's going on, really. There's something not right. I'm feeling really weird. And yeah, that mindfulness, they sent me to like a hypnotherapist. She was amazing. I honestly,
Really?
It changed my life.
Wow.
Panic attacks are a slightly different thing again. So you say that you've got anxiety. So do you know what I'm coming from when I say about the blood rushing through your body feeling?
Yeah. I get like really flustered and stuff.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling. Panic attacks, I've never had that, but that's something you say you've had. And again, what does that feel like? Is that obviously it's a different feeling?
Well, I get like pain in my chest.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's like closing. And I'll try and take a breath, but I can only take like little shallow ones because it feels restricted. It's so hard to explain.
Someone said to me, and like they thought they were having a heart attack because the heart was so tight.
Very scary.
Yeah.
Like if you like my first one, I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very scary. And yeah, and you've got to try and like focus on just slowing the breathing down, but your mind's just racing. And it can be difficult, especially like if you're on your own and got no one to sort of help you focus.
Yeah. What support do you get so you did the counselling, has it helped? Have the panic attacks, the anxiety attacks, have they calmed down since then, or do you just know how to control them better?
It's more that I know how to control them better now.
Yeah.
And like overall, I'm okay, but like certain things will trigger me now rather than me just being like anxious all the time.
That's good because you know what is going to trigger it off, so you either avoid it or you tread very carefully around it, I suppose.
Yeah. Little tiptoes.
Yeah. Oh no, if it's something like shopping in a supermarket that would trigger you off, then you just do online shopping. Why would you even want to put yourself through something like that? You know, just avoid things, isn't it? The one question I had here, so have you been given support for your anxiety, which you said you have, but I'm losing my, do you know, I'm talking away here and I'm losing my questions. So you've said that anxiety can lead to panic attacks. Do you know what triggers them off? And you've said yes. Do they appear from nowhere sometimes or not?
They can do. So for an example, I had one quite recently where someone had said something to me and I'd like internalized it and I was worrying about it in my head.
Yeah.
And then something really small happened that was nothing to do with it. Really silly.
Yeah.
But then I got upset and had a panic attack.
Yeah.
And it was more because I'd tried to push the other thing away.
Do you know, when you can understand it, I mean, at the time you're not, because you're crying and you're upset and it hurts and you're having an attack, but afterwards, I think it's just understanding, that's because I did that. And then I didn't deal with it. I just overanalyzed it in my head. And then someone said that to me and it was just, that's what pushed my button in the end. And I think if you can rationalize it afterwards, it helps. It really helps, doesn't it? You've got 2 boys, obviously. Do your boys understand when this is happening? And have you given them, I didn't know what right words to write here, so assurance or instructions on how they can help?
I am open about it. I try not to like put too much on them, but Nathan, my youngest, doesn't really understand.
No.
But Connor is quite good. Like, he's quite understanding with it, and he's been doing something at school called My Happy Mind. I don't know if you've.
I've heard of that. Yeah, they're doing a lot of things now, aren't they?
Yeah, so he's been doing that at school. So I was feeling really like anxious once, and I felt like I was gonna have a panic attack. And he went through My Happy Breathing, or like colour breathing that he'd learned.
I love him.
From the My Happy Mind lady, and like, so he always tells me to do that now, if I'm feeling anxious.
Oh, that's so sweet, isn't it?
Bless him. So I think he understands what it is, and
it's hard to explain to kids, isn't it? Like, how do you explain something so adult to such a young child?
Yeah.
Like you were saying about being a teenager, and it's all started then. You didn't really understand it fully until 2-3 years ago, you said, and that's when you go and see. It's a long time to keep something. So how then do you kind of try and teach a young child, mummy's okay, this isn't anything to be scared of, bless them. It's hard. I need to
just try to explain it as best as I could.
Yeah. And one thing I've known now is we never had it at school. I don't know, my kids aren't old enough to go to school, but my nephew's in high school, and they talk, the teachers and the welfare team, they talk about it loads, don't they? Like he comes out with these words and I'm like, I don't even know what that means, but they're teaching them, what was it, social anxiety, depression, teaching them about all these things. And I was like, wow, that seems heavy, but it seems really fitting for the last 12 months as well, because these teenagers have been going through so much, but so little at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not doing anything because they've been at home, but there's a lot going on online, and that's, socializing and things like that. It's been really weird time for them. So I'm hoping this is something that's going to, and like I said, like, your boys are so young, but that book, it's really simple, it's subtle, more than, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You're not pushing it, and if it makes them aware of other people's feelings as they get older, that's got to be a bonus, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Kids are kids, they're going to be
I definitely I do think it should be on the curriculum, because even so they can see it in themselves, or like people they care about, and also to understand, because a huge issue I've had is like people not being able to understand why I am the way that I am sometimes with it. I think if it been taught in school, or talked about more.
I think the problem is with anything like anxiety or panic attacks or postnatal depression or anything like that, any mental health issues, is you can say anxiety, but my anxiety and your anxiety are probably worlds apart. What you would get anxiety attacks about, I'd be like, do that. I'd do that 3 times a day, it's fine. But then something that I would probably get really anxious about, you'd be like, well, that's fine, I wouldn't worry about that. But this is it, it's really, how do you, what I'm trying to say is, how do you teach someone something to look out for? I suppose just the big signs, but it's not, it's so much more complex than that, isn't it? And that's when I think you should go and speak to someone.
Yeah, definitely.
Professional. They've been to university to learn about it, haven't they? So they know what they're talking about, and they charge a lot of money for it. So, they must be good. So going back to the 3 things again, if any listeners are showing signs of either postnatal depression, anxiety, or panic attacks and don't know where to turn to, what advice would you give them?
Speak to someone.
So when you say speak to someone, do you think they should speak to a loved one or go straight to medical advice?
Preferably both.
Yeah.
But definitely don't keep it in, because that is the worst thing that you can do.
Yeah. Don't think much good could come out of it, really, if you keep it in.
No.
It'll only fester.
Yeah. It's like when you speak about it with people, it's like you like sharing it and half in the problem, and
do
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what I mean. I am. You ask anybody. I've got a lot of like friends that I work with, and because I still live where I was brought up, so I still in touch with loads of people I went to school with.
Yeah.
Phil's like, you tell everybody everything, don't you? I'm like, yeah, because why should I keep that one problem? If I share it between 15 people, that means it's like I've given a 15th of that out now, and then I feel a lot better. I haven't loaded it onto one person solely. You know what I mean? I think that's cruel to pass your baggage onto someone else. But if you pass it on, and they all give their different advices and the words of encouragement and things, and you might not take all of their advice on, but some things you will, and it makes you feel better. And I just think it's better to share if you can. If you feel that you can trust someone enough, that's the thing. Tell someone you trust. But if this was to be a long-term condition, what advice would you give to any listeners on how to manage it all? So before I hit record, we were talking about this, and I said, once I had anxiety, although I have bouts of time where I don't see it and it doesn't rear its head, it will just come out of nowhere. Even after a year or something, it just comes out of nowhere. And it makes me go, oh, okay, it's me now. It's part of me. And I think I'm accepting that it's just a part of my personality now, and I've got to try and live with it and don't think it's gone forever, because it's not. I don't know if that's medically correct. I don't know if you can actually cure it, if it can actually go away. What do you think?
I'd say like learn as much as you can about it and how it affects you and how you're triggered.
Yeah.
And how like coping techniques and what works best for you, and just always be open about it.
Actually, do you know what? I'm going to throw in another question, Jodie. Sorry, you're being really nice and lovely. So I'm just going to ask you these questions. I've asked this a few times to some of the people, guests, but what do you do for self-care during the week? What's your one thing that you go, do you know what? I'm having time out. I'm not mum. I'm not wife. I'm not nothing. I'm Jodie for 1 hour once this week. What do you do?
Probably a bubble bath.
Yeah, nice.
And a bit of time on TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah, just scrolling through the videos.
Yeah.
Love all the like the thirst traps.
I'm not really on TikTok. No.
So you'll get like men doing like dances where like
hi Jodie, is this the kind of thing you're doing in the bubble bath?
just sit there and watch that for
nice, sounds lovely. God, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. I do this, I do a blog. If I went on TikTok, you'd never see me. I'd just be constantly my head in the phone, dead. The film would kill me. Honestly.
I'm gonna send you a couple of my favorite ones.
Yeah, do that. I have got a TikTok account. I just don't go on it because I know what I'm like. I'll end up making stupid videos and then I'll just be lost in it forever and ever. Someone said you could spend like an hour solid just scrolling videos.
Oh yeah, it is a bit of a black hole.
Yeah, and you're just gone. See, I think it's really important you have like self-care and just do something. Like you said, TikTok for an hour. That's what you want to do, and I think you need to do that. It's hard when you're a mum, especially young kids.
They're so demanding of your like attention all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I've got a shadow, a 3'3" shadow. She's just constantly next to me all day. I don't think it's because I'm just on maternity at the moment.
I call Nathan my little sidekick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fiona went flying the other day because she was under my feet. We ended up going to A&E because she was under my feet, and they're like, I'm like, oh God. Oh, they're worth it. But yeah, it's hard going.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So how has the lockdown been for you guys as a whole family? And have you felt that your mental health has been better or worse because of the pandemic? I'm asking this because out of all the people I've asked so far, it's been half and half. Some people have said, do you know what? It's been really lovely because haven't had to go out and see people. We've actually spent a lot of time as family together. And other people have said, I've hated it. I need to get out. I need my freedom. So how do you feel about the last 12 months?
I feel like there was definitely like some pros, like obviously more time with the kids that I wouldn't have had. I've been lucky enough, not to be directly affected by it, but I I need like a routine and stuff.
Me too.
Otherwise, everything just goes out the window with me. And I just felt really, really isolated. And if I've not got a reason to go out and stuff every day, get ready and stuff, like I find it really hard to get going.
That's what I was saying before. This is why I haven't been able to leave the house, because I've got young children, and I'm sitting thinking, I'm going mad. And I knew I was crying all the time, and it just felt like it was bad news after bad news. And I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And Phil was getting so concerned about me. And I just said, I need to do something. And that's when I started doing the blogs and the podcasting. And it's just, honestly, it sounds silly. I'm not making any money out of it. And it's all on my own time. But honestly, it's saving me a little bit, Jodie, in my head. Yeah. It really is. And you've got to find something to do. And the way I see it, it's 8 o'clock at night till 9. We're having a lovely chat. And he's watching something to do with, I don't know, World War II treasure hunting. Hello. Whatever. So I'm only going to be on my phone anyway. So why not talk to you, But again, it's great, because then tomorrow I'll look through the audio and try and edit it and take out all me mumbling on loads. I'll take out loads of that. And then share it. And then people, was it yourself that said that you were washing up and listening to my podcast?
Yeah, it was me.
Honest to God, Jodie, I'm not lying. Phil was here asking, it made my day. It made my day that one person was listening to me while they were washing up, and I thought, wow, it's little old me in North Wales. And when you've got anxiety, your brain goes haywire, and that's my problem, is I overthink things and I care what people think too much. I'm trying not to as I get older, and I'm getting better, but I think if you can keep structure, keep your brain busy, because what do they say, busy, can't think of the saying now, idle hands or something, isn't it, and that is so me.
I know what you mean.
So yeah, I get where you're coming from. So now that the schools are back, you're feeling a bit like you've got more of a routine.
Definitely, yeah. Feel loads better, go like back to work and everything, and
yeah, that helps. Isn't it funny?
Go out a certain time, come home a certain time.
Yeah, that's it. And I can't do that. I've got to do this at a certain time and things like that. Yeah, I get where you're coming from completely, because with anxiety, if you plan things in your head and if they don't go the way they're supposed to, are you like me? Exactly. I will absolutely have a meltdown, and as I'm having that meltdown in my head, it's like two people in my head. The one that's having the meltdown and the other one going, why are you being so ridiculous? This is small.
Yeah,
it's fine. You're going half an hour later. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's hard, and you're constantly battling in your head sometimes. Yeah, structure is very important, definitely. Yeah. So lastly, to finish the show on a lighter note, where are you guys I can't say that properly. Where are you guys most looking forward to visiting when lockdown is officially over? And you can't say your family, because everyone says that, and that's just a given, isn't it? So somewhere that you're going to go as a family together.
Just like fun days out, you know, I can't wait to go back to the zoo.
Which zoo are you on about now? Because you're in Cheshire. Did you go to Chester Zoo?
Chester Zoo, yeah. We've got membership for that, so that's always a good day out. And like that ice cream farm, and you've been to the ice cream farm.
Oh my God, yeah, this is really. So I'm in North Wales. We're not far, probably about an hour away from each other, aren't we, Jodie? But yeah, I've got we bought my mother-in-law and father-in-law a day past Chester Zoo, so we can all go. It was just an excuse for us to go out for the day. We're still waiting to go. We've got ice cream farm. It's ace there. I think we've got like a discount, which was £50, but you got £100 worth of tickets, and we got that in December. We went once in the January, and then the lockdown happened, so we still got £97 worth of vouchers there. Can't wait to go again.
Oh yeah, it's just the kids just haven't experienced much for a year. It's crazy. Just want them to have nice memories again.
Yeah, and looking at your kids now, you notice that Theon will look at other kids and they're like, it's just lovely seeing them, you know, they're giving them the eyes and the little like shy smiles, and then they go off and play together or share things. And I'm like, oh, I've missed this so much.
Yeah.
Well, if I go to the ice cream farm, we'll have to look out for each other. I'll let you know when we're going.
Yeah, definitely.
Are planning on going. Well, we've got 97 quid to spend, so
yeah.
I can't spend all of that on salted caramel ice cream, which I really want to do because it's amazing.
Oh, I like the Ferrero Rocher. I do.
Oh, no, definitely no. We bought the salted caramel tub. It was like kind of a bigger than Ben and Jerry's one, and not I'm sponsored. And it went, and I was like, it's fine, we'll be going again soon. Oh, I was devastated. If you haven't been since, I can't wait. But yeah, like you said, it's nice days out, isn't it?
Definitely.
Are they in any teams or sports or clubs or anything? Are they back on them yet?
Well, they both did football for a bit. I think Nathan starts again next weekend, I think. I'm not too sure about Connor's. Hopefully soon. Or I might have to get him into another one.
I hope they get back into it. It'd be nice just to, I don't know, look back in a few years and laugh about all this, won't it?
Yeah, hopefully.
Who knows? Well, thank you ever so much. I hope it's been all right for you and it's not been too interrogating.
No, honestly, I don't mind, because obviously I am really open on Instagram, because I just think in my head, when I see someone else saying I have these feelings and I act this way, and I'm like, I do that, and it's nice to be able to recognize.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at explaining stuff.
No, you're not at all. I am in awe of all you guys. I'm not going to say women, because there's men there as well that share it as well, of anyone online who share all these things, because I don't know how many of my friends and family listen to my podcast. Only my very, very, very closest friends know the extent of my anxiety attacks. I don't even think my dad knew. My mum, a bit old school, my family. I don't know. I don't like talking about it too much to them. And I don't know why. I think sometimes you just feel like you're going to be judged a bit. And again, that's the anxiety, because I'm always scared of what people think and things like that. So I don't talk about it very often. Phil's amazing. I've been with him 5 years and he didn't get it at first. He didn't. It's taken him a long time to understand the way my brain works. So I'm in awe of you guys. I really am, because I can't do it. I just can't. And I'm doing it now because we're not on a video, because we're not showing this video. And I suppose it's just my voice. And I'm hoping nobody really hears it from my side.
Does it make you feel better when you see?
Oh, I love it. That sounds awful, that I love people having anxiety. I don't.
No, I know what you mean, though. Yeah.
I like seeing normal people admitting that they've got it. You know, people that have got their shit together, in another word. You know what I mean? Like, you think these women, business women and mums of children who look, this is why it's called the swan effect mum. The swan glides along the lake looking so calm, so peaceful, but underneath the legs are going absolutely crazy to glide. And that is the way I described it. And that basically was because of my anxiety. But I haven't said that because, do you know what I mean? It's hard. I struggle to talk about
so much stigma around it as well, that obviously it's getting better than it was, but
this has been nice. It's been nice, and I'm really sorry if I've been talking too much, but I knew you were nervous, so I thought I'd help share, and we have a chat about it as well. And it's been nice to talk to someone else who understands what it's like for me, because I've never asked anyone, is your anxiety attacks like this, because I've never really told anyone really how it feels. So, you know, but I'm hoping if anyone's listening, you know, that they feel like they can reach out to you, reach out to me, you know, have a chat and stuff, or
definitely.
So do you want to share your Instagram name on here if anyone wants to DM you? Have you got a private account? Well, I don't even know. I can edit this out if you don't want it on there.
No, it's fine. Like, honestly, sometimes it's easier to talk to someone that you don't know.
Yeah. That's why we talk to the hairdressers, Jodie. They know our names. Seriously, you tell your hairdresser everything. Yeah. I think my hairdresser knows more than my mum does.
Yeah, definitely. It's Chronicles of Caffeine and Chaos.
I love that name. I was going to do a caffeine-based name for when I started my Instagram. Yeah, because that's all I live off.
Gotta have that caffeine.
But yeah, and then obviously message myself as well. I'm not a medical expert, and nor's Jodie, to be fair, but we've both experienced it, and sometimes that's just as good and just as knowledgeable. So, give us a shout if you need to. Well, Thank you very much, Jodie. I really enjoyed it.
You're welcome.
Oh, I hope it's been okay. Thanks so much, and take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye. If you would like to be a guest on this show, then please get in touch today. We're looking for unique stories that will help and benefit other parents listening. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit subscribe and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Pinterest, or visit my website www.theswaneffectmum.com. Thank you.